drawing 10 viral creepypasta legends. Slender Man. In 2009, a forum called Something Awful held a simple competition: edit ordinary photos to make them look paranormal. A user named Victor Surge uploaded 2 black and white images. Children playing in a park, but in the background, there was a tall figure in a black suit with no face. This was the birth of Slender Man. What made Slenderman different from other creepypastas was its evolution. Within weeks, thousands of people began writing stories about him. Everyone added new details: tentacles on his back, teleportation abilities, a habit of hunting children in forests. Slender Man became the internet's largest collaborative phenomenon. No single creator, no single canon story. He evolved through contributions from thousands of people. Marble Hornets, a YouTube web series released in 2009, made his popularity explode. A found footage style series about film students haunted by Slenderman. The series was watched tens of millions of times. Indie games like Slender, the 8 pages in 2012, brought Slenderman into mainstream gaming. Major YouTubers like PewDiePie played it, bringing Slenderman to a global audience. But the turning point came in 2014. 2 teenagers in Wisconsin committed violence against their friend. They claimed they did it for Slenderman. The case made international news. Suddenly, creepypasta wasn't just internet stories anymore. Mainstream media began questioning, is online horror content dangerous for children? What's interesting about Slenderman is the concept of tulpa in folklore. A tulpa is an entity created through collective belief. The more people believe, the more real it becomes. Psychologists call it folie à plusieurs, shared psychosis. When a group of people share the same delusion, Slenderman became a case study on how the internet can create modern mythology. In 5 years, from a photoshopped image, he became a pop culture icon with a Hollywood film, HBO documentary, and official merchandise. Some people see it as a warning. Others see it as proof of the power of collective storytelling. But one thing is certain: Slenderman proved that in the digital age, myths can be born in days, not centuries. Jeff the Killer. Around 2008, an image appeared on various image boards. A pale face with an unnaturally wide smile and eyes wide open without eyelids. Below it, read, "Go to sleep." No one knows who first created that image. No one knows where it came from. But the image of Jeff the Killer became one of the most viral creepypastas in internet history. The story behind the image varies. The most popular version tells of a teenager named Jeffrey Woods who experienced trauma and transformed into that terrifying figure. But the fact is, this story was written later to explain an image that was already viral. What makes Jeff the Killer interesting from an internet culture perspective is the mystery of its origin. For years, internet detectives tried to trace the source of the original photo. There's a theory that the photo came from a 2008 YouTube video about Halloween makeup. Some say it's an edit from a photo of a woman at Katie Robinson costume shop. Other theories mention it's an edit of an ordinary woman's photo taken with a cheap webcam. In 2015, someone claimed to find the original photo, a girl posing for the camera with white makeup. But until now, there's been no 100% confirmation. Jeff the Killer became a template for thousands of other creepypastas. The format of tragic backstory that transforms a normal person into a terrifying entity was repeated over and over. His popularity exploded on DeviantArt, where thousands of fan arts were created. Cosplayers recreated him at conventions. Even his unofficial merchandise was sold on various platforms. What makes Jeff endure is its simplicity. No complicated lore, no complex rules. Just a disturbing image and a simple catchphrase, "Go to sleep." From a psychological perspective, Jeff the Killer exploits humanity's primitive fear, a familiar but wrong face. The uncanny valley. Our brain knows it's a human face, but something is not right. That smile should signify happiness. But in this context, the smile becomes a threat. Jeff the Killer is proof that sometimes a simple image can be more powerful than a long story. One right image can become a viral icon that lasts more than a decade. The Rake. December 2005. a group of anonymous users on 4chan started a project. Create the perfect collaborative creepypasta. They called it the Divided by X, Divided by Paranormal Board project. For several weeks, hundreds of ideas were submitted, monsters with various forms and stories. But one concept kept appearing, a humanoid creature that comes at night. The Rake was born from this collaboration. Its description was developed together. A thin creature with pale skin, moving on all fours, reflective eyes, and a habit of watching victims before attacking. What makes the Rake interesting is its viral strategy. The creators deliberately made fake documents, false reports from various historical periods mentioning similar creatures. There are notes from 1691, a diary from 1880, even audio recordings from 1964. This tactic is called alternate reality game, or ARG, blurring the line between fiction and reality to make the story more immersive. And it worked extraordinarily well. The Rake spread across various platforms: Creepypasta Wiki, Reddit No Sleep, YouTube. Each platform added a new layer to its mythology. What's unique about the Rake compared to other creepypastas is its focus on witness testimony. Not traditional horror narrative, but documentary, style reports that feel more real. This format was very effective in the digital era. People are used to reading news reports, online testimony, and forum discussions. The Rake exploited this familiar format. Some YouTubers made encounter videos, fake recordings of meeting the Rake. These videos gathered millions of views. Comments full of people asking, "Is this real?" From a digital folklore perspective, the Rake is a perfect example of how the internet creates modern urban legends. It has all the elements of classic creature mythology: distinctive appearance, consistent behavior pattern, and reported sightings from various places. The Rake also inspired much derivative content. Indie games like The Rake Hostel in 2015, horror short films, even unofficial novels. What's interesting is the community debate about the Rake's canon. Because it was created collaboratively, there's no official version. Everyone is free to add or change its details. This creates a living, evolving mythology, exactly like traditional folklore that evolved from mouth to mouth, only in digital form. The Rake proved that monsters don't need to come from books or big films. With the right internet collaboration, new monsters can be born and become cultural icons within months. Smile Dog. In the early 2000s, a story circulated on paranormal forums about a cursed image, an image that shouldn't be viewed. They called it smile.jpg. The story goes, there's an image of a Siberian husky with an unnaturally human smile, taken in a dark room with a human hand visible in the background. Those who see it start having nightmares. Every night, the same dream. The dog appears, getting closer, whispering one sentence: spread the word. The only way to stop it? Share the image with someone else. But by doing so, you curse another person with the same nightmare. Smile Dog became one of the earliest examples of cursed media creepypasta. The concept of media that can harm you just by viewing it. This taps into ancient fears. The idea that knowledge itself can be dangerous, that some things are better left unknown. From an internet culture perspective, Smile Dog was brilliant. It created a dilemma: curiosity versus safety. People wanted to see the image, but were afraid of the consequences. Various versions of the image circulated online. Some were obvious fakes. Others were genuinely disturbing edits. But which one was the real smile.jpg? No one knew. This ambiguity made it more effective. Everyone could create their own version. The mythology wasn't tied to one specific image. The story spread primarily through forums and early social media: MySpace, LiveJournal, early Reddit. Each platform added its own variation. What's interesting is how Smile Dog reflected early internet anxieties. In the 2000s, people were still learning about digital dangers, viruses, malware, harmful content. Smile Dog personified these fears. an image that could infect your mind like a computer virus. The spread the word mechanism was also clever. It mimicked how chain letters and email forwards worked. The curse spreads through social networks. Psychologically, this plays on guilt. If you share it, you're harming someone else. If you don't share it, you suffer. There's no good choice. Smile Dog also inspired a whole genre of cursed media stories. Videos you shouldn't watch, games you shouldn't play, websites you shouldn't visit. The SCP Foundation, a collaborative fiction project, expanded on this concept with hundreds of cognitohazards, ideas, or images that harm you through perception. Today, Smile Dog might seem tame compared to modern internet horror. But in the early 2000s, it was genuinely effective. It worked because the internet was still new and mysterious. People didn't know what was possible. What could really harm you through a screen? Smile Dog proved that sometimes, the fear of something is more powerful than the thing itself. The image in your imagination is scarier than any real image could be. Ben drowned. September 2010. A user named Jaducible posted on 4chan's divided by X divided by board. He had bought a used copy of The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, at a yard sale. The old man who sold it said it belonged to a boy named Ben. When Jaducible played the game, strange things began happening. The Link statue would turn and stare at the camera. Music would play backwards. A file named Ben appeared that he didn't create. Messages appeared repeatedly. You shouldn't have done that. Jaducible documented everything. Screenshots, videos, detailed posts about each gaming session. The haunting escalated. The game seemed aware of him. It called him by name. Then, things got worse. The haunting spread beyond the game. His computer started acting strange. Files corrupted. Programs opened on their own. Ben Drowned became one of the most influential gaming creepypastas ever created. Why? Because it was an ARG, alternate reality game. Jaducible didn't just tell a story. He created an experience, real videos of the haunted gameplay. A fictional website called YouShouldn'tHaveDoneThat.net. Cleverbot conversations with Ben. Viewers could interact with the story. They could visit the websites, try to solve the mystery. They weren't just reading, they were participating. From a technical perspective, the videos were impressive. Jaducible used ROM hacking and game modification to create genuinely unsettling footage. The game behaving in ways it shouldn't? This authenticity made people question, could this be real? Of course it wasn't, but the execution was convincing enough to create doubt. Ben Drowned also tapped into gaming nostalgia. Majora's Mask already had an unsettling atmosphere. The 3-day cycle, the creepy moon, the transformation masks. The creepypasta took these existing elements and amplified them. It showed that familiar things, when corrupted, become terrifying. The story resonated with gamers who grew up with Nintendo 64. It transformed childhood memories into something sinister. Ben Drowned spawned countless imitations. Sonic, .exe, Pokemon Black, NES Godzilla. Every classic game got its haunted version, but none captured the same magic as the original. Because Jaducible understood something crucial: immersion. He built an entire world around the story. Lore about cults, moon children, digital hauntings. He released information gradually, keeping people engaged for months. The community became invested. They created theories, made fan art, wrote their own stories in the same universe. From a modern perspective, Ben Drowned was early transmedia storytelling, using multiple platforms and formats to tell one cohesive story. It proved that creepypasta could be more than text on a screen. It could be interactive, immersive, an experience rather than just a story. Today, Ben Drowned remains a benchmark. When people create gaming creepypastas, they're compared to Jaducible's work. It showed that with creativity and technical skill, internet horror could rival professional productions. You didn't need a big budget, just good ideas and dedication. The Russian Sleep Experiment. The Russian Sleep Experiment is one of creepypasta's most controversial stories. Not because of its content, but because of how many people believed it was real. The story claims that in the 1,940 seconds, Soviet researchers conducted an experiment. 5 political prisoners were kept in a sealed chamber for 30 days. They were exposed to an experimental gas that prevented sleep. The first 15 days went normally. Then, communication stopped. On day 30, when researchers opened the chamber, they found a horrific scene. The subjects had mutilated themselves, but were still alive, still conscious, and they refused to sleep. When researchers tried to sedate them, the subjects screamed, "Don't let us sleep!" The story is pure fiction, but it spread across the internet as if it were real. Why? Because it was written like a declassified document. Clinical tone, specific dates, references to real historical context like Soviet human experiments. This pseudo-documentary style made it convincing. People shared it on social media as disturbing historical facts. News websites even picked it up, thinking it was real. From a storytelling perspective, the Russian sleep experiment is masterfully constructed. It escalates gradually, starts mundane, ends horrific. Each detail adds to the dread. The story also taps into real fears. Soviet human experiments did happen. Unit 731, MK Ultra. History has genuine examples of unethical research. The Russian sleep experiment slots into this real context, making it feel plausible. It also explores a universal fear. What happens if we can't sleep? Sleep deprivation is genuinely dangerous. The story takes this real danger and amplifies it to extreme horror. The philosophical question at the story's end is chilling. What if sleep protects us from something? What if consciousness itself is a prison we need to escape from periodically? The story became so popular that it spawned adaptations. A 2015 film, multiple short films, theatrical productions, podcasts. It's studied in media literacy courses as an example of misinformation spread, how fiction can be mistaken for fact in the digital age. The Russian sleep experiment also demonstrates the appeal to authority fallacy. By framing the story as a government document or scientific report, it gains false credibility. People are more likely to believe something if it appears official, even without verification. This has real implications. In an era of misinformation, understanding how fiction can masquerade as fact is crucial. The Russian sleep experiment is entertainment, but it's also a lesson in critical thinking. Always verify sources. Question narratives that seem too sensational. The story endures because it's genuinely well written. Disturbing imagery, philosophical depth, and that haunting final line, "I must remain awake." It reminds us that the best horror doesn't just scare us, it makes us think, question, wonder. And sometimes, that's more powerful than any jump scare. Eyeless Jack? Eyeless Jack emerged on the Creepypasta wiki around 2010. The story tells of a creature that appears in people's bedrooms at night, a figure wearing a blue hoodie and a black mask with empty eye sockets. But he can see you. Eyeless Jack hunts for human organs, specifically kidneys. Victims wake up with surgical incisions in their abdomen, organs missing. But they don't remember anything, only thick black tar left on their bedsheets, and the smell of decay. The original story was simple. A college student named Jack was sacrificed in a cult ritual. The ritual went wrong. Jack survived, but transformed into something no longer human. What made Eyeless Jack popular wasn't the original story, though. It was the fan interpretations. On DeviantArt and Tumblr, thousands of artists reimagined the character. Some made him sympathetic, a tragic figure forced to hunt to survive. Others made him pure evil, a demonic entity that enjoys the hunt. This flexibility is why Eyeless Jack endured. Unlike characters with rigid canon, he could be adapted to different narratives. Eyeless Jack became part of the Creepypasta family, a loose collection of characters that fans grouped together. Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, Eyeless Jack, and others. Fan fiction writers created interactions between these characters. Artists drew them together. The community built a shared universe that didn't officially exist. This is fascinating from a fandom perspective. The community took disparate stories from different creators and wove them into connected mythology. No one person controlled this narrative. It evolved organically through collective creativity. Eyeless Jack also represents a specific type of creepypasta, the medical horror variant. Stories involving organs, surgery, bodily violation. This taps into visceral fears, the vulnerability of sleep, the violation of bodily autonomy, the horror of waking up changed, damaged, incomplete. The black tar element is particularly effective. It's unexplained, supernatural, a visual calling card that makes the entity feel otherworldly. From a design perspective, Eyeless Jack's appearance is iconic. The blue hoodie is distinctive. The mask is simple but effective. It's easily recognizable and easy to cosplay. This contributed to his spread. Cosplayers at conventions, fan films on YouTube, fan art flooding social media. Eyeless Jack became a character that transcended his original story. Most fans don't even know the original creepypasta. They know the character through fan content. This is modern mythology in action. Characters evolving beyond their source material. Communities taking ownership and reshaping narratives. Eyeless Jack proved that in internet culture, authorship is fluid. A character can belong to everyone and no one simultaneously. The original creator matters less than the collective interpretation. The character becomes what the community makes it. This democratization of storytelling is unique to the internet age. Before, characters were owned by corporations or individual authors. Now, characters can be communal, shaped by thousands of contributors, constantly evolving. Eyeless Jack is a symbol of this new paradigm. A character created by one person, but owned by many. The Backrooms. In 2019, an anonymous user posted a single image on 4chan, a photograph of an empty office space. Yellow wallpaper, worn carpet, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The caption read, "If you're not careful, and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms." This simple post spawned one of the internet's most expansive collaborative horror projects. The Backrooms concept is brilliant in its simplicity. An infinite maze of empty rooms, monotonous, endless. You're alone, except you're not. Something else is there with you. What made the Backrooms explode wasn't the original post. It was what came after. The community immediately began expanding the concept. People wrote survival guides, created levels, different areas within the Backrooms, each with unique dangers. Level 0 is the original. Yellow wallpaper, endless corridors. Level 1 is a concrete parking garage. Level 2 is industrial tunnels. The mythology grew exponentially. Within months, there were hundreds of documented levels, entities that inhabit them, rules for survival, entire wikis dedicated to Backrooms lore. From an internet culture perspective, the Backrooms represents the evolution of creepypasta. It's not a single story. It's a collaborative world-building project. Like SCP Foundation before it, the Backrooms became a Creative Commons. Anyone could contribute. Add new levels, create new entities, expand the mythology. This open-source approach to horror is revolutionary. Traditional media has gatekeepers, publishers, studios. The Backrooms has none. If your idea is good and fits the aesthetic, the community accepts it. It becomes canon. The Backrooms also taps into specific modern anxieties. Liminal spaces. Places that feel wrong because they're empty when they should be occupied. Shopping malls after closing. Empty schools. Abandoned offices. These spaces unsettle us because they're familiar but devoid of life. The Backrooms takes this discomfort and amplifies it. What if you were trapped in that feeling forever, wandering endless liminal spaces with no exit? It's also a metaphor for dissociation, for depression, for feeling disconnected from reality. The Backrooms is what it feels like when the world doesn't feel quite real. The concept resonated deeply during COVID-19 lockdowns, when real spaces became liminal, when normal places felt empty and wrong. The Backrooms gave people a framework to process these feelings. a way to articulate the strangeness of living through unprecedented times. YouTube became the primary platform for Backrooms content. Kane Pixels, a teenage creator, made photorealistic animations of the Backrooms that went viral. His videos, combining found footage aesthetic with CGI, brought the Backrooms to mainstream attention. Millions of views, media coverage. The Backrooms proved that horror doesn't need jump scares or monsters. Sometimes, emptiness is scarier. The absence of something is more terrifying than its presence. It's dread. Pure atmospheric dread. And in the digital age, that resonates. The Backrooms is now a cultural phenomenon, with video games, merchandise, and even film adaptations in development. From a single 4chan post to a multimedia franchise in 3 years. That's the power of collaborative internet storytelling. Lavender Town Syndrome. In 1996, Pokemon Red and Green were released in Japan. Shortly after, rumors began spreading about children getting sick after playing the game. Specifically, after reaching Lavender Town. Lavender Town Syndrome, as it became known, claimed that hundreds of children aged 7 to 12 experienced headaches, nosebleeds, and strange behavior. Some reports even claimed suicides occurred. The alleged cause? High-frequency tones in Lavender Town's background music, frequencies that only children could hear. This story became one of gaming's most persistent urban legends. Was it true? No. There's zero evidence that Lavender Town Syndrome ever happened. No hospital records. No news reports from 1,996. Nothing. But that hasn't stopped the story from spreading for decades. Why is this legend so persistent? Because it contains enough truth to feel plausible. Lavender Town's music is genuinely unsettling. It was designed to be. Lavender Town is Pokemon's ghost town, where dead Pokemon are buried. The music reflects this somber atmosphere. The music also does use higher frequencies than other tracks in the game. Not dangerous frequencies, but noticeably higher pitched. This kernel of truth makes the legend believable. Yes, the music is weird. Yes, it's higher pitched. So maybe the rest is true too? The legend also emerged at the perfect time. The late 1992s and early 2000s, when the internet was young. Information couldn't be verified easily. Rumors spread on forums and early websites. No one could fact-check them. By the time fact-checking became common, the legend was already established. Lavender Town Syndrome also plays on parental fears about video games. In the 1992s, video games were still controversial. Parents worried they were harmful. This legend confirmed those fears. Video games could literally hurt children. It validated parental anxiety. From a music theory perspective, the story is interesting because frequencies can affect humans. Infrasound below 20 Hz can cause discomfort, but Pokemon's music doesn't use these frequencies. The legend confused real science with fiction, making it sound plausible to people who don't understand acoustics. What's fascinating is that Nintendo actually did change Lavender Town's music. In international versions and later Japanese re-releases, the music is slightly different. Why? Probably because it was unsettling and they wanted to tone it down, or technical reasons related to different hardware. But conspiracy theorists point to this change as proof. They changed it because it was dangerous. This is confirmation bias, interpreting normal changes as evidence for an unproven claim. Lavender Town Syndrome demonstrates how urban legends form in the digital age. Take a grain of truth, add speculation, let it spread unchecked. The legend has had real impact. Countless YouTube videos investigate it. Creepypasta stories expand on it. Fan games recreate the original deadly version. It's become part of Pokemon's mythology. Even though it never happened, it feels like it should have. It fits Pokemon's aesthetic too well. Lavender Town Syndrome is a reminder. Not everything you read online is true, even if it sounds convincing, even if multiple sources repeat it. Always verify, always question, especially when something seems designed to scare you, because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that never happened at all. The Expressionless. The Expressionless is a short creepypasta that originated around 2012. It tells the story of a woman who appeared at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in June 1972, 2 a.m. She walked into the emergency room, white dress covered in blood, no shoes, her face completely expressionless, pale skin like wax, empty eyes. When a nurse asked if she needed help, the woman smiled. Her teeth were all sharp like needles. Then she attacked. The story is brief, but memorable. It's been shared thousands of times across platforms. Why did this simple story resonate? Because it taps into hospital horror. Hospitals are already unsettling. Places of pain, suffering, death. They feel wrong at night. Empty hallways, fluorescent lights, strange sounds. The Expressionless takes this existing discomfort and adds a supernatural threat. The story's strength is its brevity. It doesn't over-explain. No backstory, no motivation, just a disturbing event. This ambiguity lets readers fill in the gaps. Everyone imagines different explanations. A demon, an alien, a supernatural entity. The story works because it doesn't limit interpretation. The Expressionless also uses a common creepypasta technique: false specificity. It gives exact details. Cedars-Sinai Hospital, June 1972, to sound authentic. But these details are meaningless. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center exists, but it's spelled differently. The story uses a fake spelling to avoid direct connection. This creates plausible deniability. It sounds real, but can't be easily verified or debunked. From a monster design perspective, the Expressionless is effective. The lack of expression is unsettling. Humans communicate through facial expressions. A face without expression is inhuman. The needle teeth are a visceral detail. They transform what looks human into something predatory. The image associated with the story, supposedly a photo of the Expressionless, is actually a sculpture. Merry Widow, by artist Takahashi Tomohiro. This sculpture was appropriated by the creepypasta community, divorced from its artistic context, and reframed as something sinister. This happens frequently in internet horror. Real images or artworks are stolen and recontextualized as creepypasta evidence. The original artist often isn't credited. The community doesn't care about artistic origin, only narrative utility. The Expressionless spawned fan art, short films, and expanded stories. Some creators added lore. Others kept it simple. The character became part of the broader creepypasta ecosystem. Not as famous as Slender Man or Jeff the Killer, but recognizable within the community. What's interesting is how minimalist horror can be effective. The Expressionless is maybe 200 words in its original form. No elaborate lore, no complex backstory. Just a disturbing scenario presented matter-of-factly. Sometimes, that's all you need. A single unsettling image. A brief encounter that raises more questions than it answers. The Expressionless proves that in horror, less can be more. Don't explain everything. Don't reveal too much. Let the audience's imagination do the work. Because what they imagine will always be scarier than what you could describe. That's the secret of effective creepypasta. Not telling the whole story, just telling enough.